orchids, violets, and so much more. This video is a part of our Jamaica garden tour series from our recent trip to the beautiful island. Come along and let's take a look at the wonderful shade-loving flowers of Lady Ivy's garden and patio. If you have never been here before, my name is Marlene. Welcome everyone to my home and garden channel. So we started over to that area, Portland from Kingston, and going by driving on the left, which is what we do in Jamaica, you can see the wonderful Trident Castle Hotel, part of the James Bond movies, guys. And over here we passed also by the Jamaica Palace Hotel, which is also another wonderful place, not sponsored, but they're wonderful places to see. And bear in mind that plants, just like humans, many of them adapt from the heat by growing in the shade. So let's take a look at some wonderful ones that she has for us. And we're just going to pan over really quick and show you them in a cooler season of the year. And then we'll take a look at them individually. And I'll also give you the names of the ones that you're seeing there. The first one is actually a Rex Begonia, and isn't it gorgeous? The leaves, to me, they remind me of like a crushed velvet. I think they're so pretty with that two color that they have right there. And they also produce beautiful flowers whenever they're ready to do so in their season. So this plant is not only good for the leaves that it bears in terms of beauty, but also for the flowers that you get from it as well. And then right next to it is an asparagus fern. Even though it's called a fern, it's not really a true fern because it actually produces little white flowers, and ferns do not reproduce using flowers. They reproduce using spores, which you normally see like little like little brown spots under the bottom of the leaves. And so that's how you can tell that this is not a true fern, but regardless, it is absolutely beautiful, and I love the texture and the fluffiness and the feel of it. And they grow in my area too, so that's something I can have and enjoy. And we have the Aglaonema, or Chinese evergreen as it's called. And over here we have a silver queen. And next to that we have the wonderful fire violet. And you can see why it's called that, because the flowers just look like a flaming hot fire. It's so beautiful. Next to that we have the Diefenbachia, and also called Dumpcane. And next to that we have the silver queen. And you'll see a few more of these as we go further in the video. And just to say that this one is actually blooming right now. Not the standard, colorful flowers that you see, but nevertheless, it is blooming, so definitely worth mentioning. And then next to that, we are seeing another one of the Chinese evergreen, and this one is a lot bigger, and I just love the colors. It's so very, very striking, very, very beautiful. They don't even need to have showy flowers because the leaves already do the job for them. And over here we have another of the Rex Begonias, and I was quite happy to see it because it's not a very common type that you'll see, so it's good when, you have more to continue the species on. And look at the fire violet here, guys. It's just cascading off to the side, and I think it is so, so beautiful. You can see how it matches up with the shabby chic type of furniture that is on the patio there. And just take a look and see how this one reproduces itself. It sends the little runners off, kind of like a strawberry. And then when the roots set in the ground, you just snip them off, and then you take them up with some soil, and you get to propagate the plant. When I have seen these in my garden center, I saw them in the early spring, so they are available in the United States. Over here we have Oxalis, and I do see these ones quite a bit available as well too. You can see it has beautiful little pink flowers, very delicate and very cute. And again, another plant that's great for shade. So I love that one, and I do see that one often enough. And look at this, guys. There are two orchids blooming right here, so that is wonderful. Most of them fell off already, but two of them were left behind for us to get to enjoy. Over here is a larger silver queen, very, very beautiful. You can see how fluffy and how nice they are, and the texture, and they just thrive in this environment because that parish, Portland, they get a lot of rainfall there, so it is warm, yes, but it's also a lot of humidity. And they just come out and they fill out. And of course, you can always divide these out so that you can get lots of plants for yourself in other areas and, neighbors and friends. There's only one bloom left of the orchid, but nevertheless, it is still holding on. And here's another one here as well too. So as you can see, she propagates them and she gets more and more out of there. And just look at that, guys. Love it. It's beautiful. And if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give me a thumbs up. It sends a good message out so that others can get to see it as well. Look at the texture, guys. Isn't that pretty? And here's another Rex begonia. This one here, this one had a lot more blooms in the cooler months, but it's still going along. And it's going to come right back up once it cools down a little bit. So she'll have a lot more of these. And these like to have nice loose soil. And over here we have some amaranth, or Callaloo as it's called on the islands. And of course, that's a volunteer one, and that's going to grow pretty large, and it's going to be a part of a very, very nice meal, which is really good to just have them grow like that, and you just get to enjoy them. Over here now we have some crown of thorns, and these are more like a more sunny type loving plant. This is a more western side of the garden, so they do get a little bit more, or I should say of the patio, so they get a little bit more sun in the afternoon. So that's why they're able to, you know, stay here and still look very, very good. Right here now we have Mother of Thousands, part of the Kalanchoe family. In some areas, in some countries, these are said to be invasive, but down here, not so much. And because she has them in a container, and also because they're on a, you know, a concrete area, then they're going to be perfectly fine. They're not going to spread out of control. This one reminds me a little bit of bamboo, and it's doing quite well in this area. Quite often they're used as houseplants in Jamaica when you visit like offices and so on. And I think they're really, really pretty. Over here, there's a miniature palm, and it's not going to grow much larger than you see it right here. And I think it's really nice. And just above it, we have a Dracaena variety. There are different types. This one is a variegated one, and I think that one is really, really pretty. Right below that here we have a Kalanchoe. There's another one springing up in the center. So once those come off, it's going to come up and it's going to bloom. And this is a nice big leaf orchid right there. It's not blooming now, but it produces beautiful pink flowers at the right season. So you can see the Dracaenas over here giving them a little bit of shade, which is good companion planting, which I talk about from time to time. And look what bloomed a few days after we left. So I didn't get the video for you, but she sent me the picture to show you how gorgeous it was. Just look at that, guys. Isn't that beautiful? Next, we move on to the ginger lilies. I call this ginger lily walk because it's such a good spread of them over in that area, and they're so beautiful. So let's go in and take a closer look at what they look like. And these right here, these are okay with a little bit of sun, dappled sunlight, hard shade, or they'll survive in the full shade as they are right here. And they're so beautiful. Just take a closer look, guys, to see how wonderful they are. And they also come in darker colors as well, to like a darker shade of red. So this is the one she has here. And when it reproduces, you'll see like little offshoots coming up off there as well too, which you can propagate and get more from there. Just take a look at that, guys, to see what I'm talking about. The older one is dying, but there are younger ones coming up. So it is an endless supply. And these are beautiful in tropical floral arrangements, which she has done in, you know, over the years to make beautiful arrangements for weddings and just different, you know, events. Very, very, very pretty. And what do we have to the far corner behind them? We have the lobster claw plant. And if you look at it, you can see exactly why it's called that, because it looks just like a lobster claw. And just tell me if you agree in the comments, but I definitely think so. And these are in the similar family. We're switching over now to bananas. Bananas can grow in the sun, but they prefer part shade. And you can see that those are pretty mature right now. We typically have them, eat them green, boiled, like a potato, and you have them that way with your food. But of course, it can be left until they ripen on the tree, which is great. And just above them, we have breadfruit, which is a wonderful plant that produces this fruit that you kind of you roast it and it's eaten like bread. But we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. We're going to be talking about off-the-grid living in Jamaica. So make sure that you come back so you can get to see all that we're going to have for you in that very wonderful and interesting video. Looking further down below now, this is a lot of fern that's growing around here. And these are all volunteer plants, guys. These are actually some Boston ferns right here, which she also typically uses when she is making floral arrangements as well. They're very easy on the eyes, very pretty, and you can see they just multiply out. So it's an endless supply of those that are there. And over there are two beautiful Diefenbachia plants, and they are actually volunteers that just grew there on their own. They're doing quite well in the full shade, and they look so lush and healthy. Now we're moving over to the porch shade area that's more towards the front, and these are Ixora, and I did talk about those in a previous video, the first one in the Jamaica Garden Tour series, where I showed you the ones from my mom's legacy garden. Those were in a different color, and I think they're all very beautiful. So just take a look at them, guys. And these flowers, they last for quite a long time, and they're kind of like a hummingbird magnet. So once you're out there, you're going to see hummingbirds depending on the time of day that you come out. Those tubular flowers, they attract them and they love it. Sorry, I didn't get to catch any for you at that point in the video. Over here now we have Croton, and we have different varieties. These also, they can survive in the sun, but they prefer porch shade. I think they do best that way, which is what this area is right here. And you can see how this one looks right here. Those long cascading leaves, and they're a little bit more colorful. But sometimes I find the more sun that comes onto the Croton is the more colorful that it is, because these are not as colorful as some of them that we saw in our last video. But they're still beautiful, and I absolutely love them. And these, I've grown Crotons similar to the darker ones you're seeing. They're indoors, and I've had them for many years, and I just repot them when they get older. And just to say, guys, that I do a lot of gardening topics, tips, and tours. I also do a few, refresh of my porches for each season. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell twice so you never miss an upload. Over here now, this is cordyline, which I've talked about as well in previous videos, and I see them quite often in my garden center. Of course, these are perennials here. They grow up and they get really tall, very colorful and very beautiful, but you can grow them smaller as, annuals in your floral arrangements, like your container gardens, and they're quite pretty. Or you can bring them indoors and they can last for a very long time, for many years that way. Look at this little surprise right here, guys. This is actually a lily right here. Very, very pretty color. And this is kind of what happens, along here in her garden. It is a part shade garden to full shade, but you see that many different types of plants grow together. She even has a Cuban oregano right there, and that helps to keep pests and diseases away. I'm not sure if you can see in the distance a bird of paradise right there, so I'll pull one in so you can take a closer look to see how it looks. Volunteer plants, guys. Isn't it beautiful? Over here we have Aurelia. My mom used to grow these two many years ago, but they last for many years and then they kind of fade out. So the Ixora has replaced them over in her garden. But you can see how pretty the leaves are, that they're a little bit variegated, so they offer that texture there and also the color. And we have some pothos growing down here as well too. This is a smaller variety, but equally beautiful. You can just see how they're vining up, and they actually kind of support each other. They help to keep each other cool. And the pothos, it gets support when it climbs up on them, and it just looks pretty together in my opinion. So guys, we have so much more to show you in the playlist, including the Fun Gardener meetup that was the last video. So be sure to come back so you can get to see those. Thank you, Lady Ivy, for sharing your beautiful plants with us. It was truly a pleasure watching them and sharing them with so many of our viewers. And you can tell me which one of these was your favorite. I hope it really inspired you, because there are some of these plants, like I mentioned, that you can grow in your own space. It doesn't have to be in the tropics. And they're just so beautiful, and they do bring a smile to your face. I hope you enjoyed coming along and enjoying these flowers like we did when we saw them. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Take care.